afternoon, good evening, and no other possible times of day. Welcome to the Retitled Show. Almost too many things to get to today. The gubernatorial debate, round 2 was last night for California. The U.S. has paused a plan to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz. But first, actually, by the way, I want to make a quick note that I keep forgetting to mention here. What you're watching here is a very secret show that nobody can know about. Why, do you ask? Because the Retitled Show is, how do I put this? The Retitled Show is for elites only. And I'm going to say it again. The Retitled Show is for elites only. If this gets more than 10 likes, I will shut down this entire channel. What we're looking for here as far as viewership is the absolute cream of the crop, insiders, okay? If you're watching this, congratulations. That's exactly what you are. Now, you may find yourself in a situation where you're showing this broadcast to somebody else, and they may be saying, I'm not charmed by this at all. To which all you need to do is just turn to that person and say, that's okay. You're not an elite. You are not part of the elite viewership that the Retitled Show is for. So I'll say, so just to drive this point to the ground. If this gets more than 10 likes or 20 subscribers, we're shutting the whole thing down. Okay, this is about quality, not quantity. When it comes to who is watching the Retitled Show, and I think that's a perfect segue to what I want to get to at the top of the hour, which is something that I'm pretty excited about, a new series that we're trying to get off the ground here with a friend of mine, Tom Marsh, who knows more about film than I do, but has been kind enough to engage with me in conversation about films of yesteryear and yesteryear as we try our damnedest to tie them in to what's going on today. So we'll get to that right after this.
I ain't trying to get nobody's
I want you
business,
to call
man.
your man and tell your man I want to beat you up, but I want to talk to him first. Let him know what's going on. Because he's streetwise like a motherfucker. You're going to be downtown, you're going to be cool. You better learn the ways of the streets before you start hanging down there and doing shit like you're doing.
Said you've got 5 suspects about, and he was one of them.
The healing and the hope that I found in recovery with connection with people like you and a few others, these beautiful things, you get these little glimpses of connection with the street kids when you're like, oh, thank God. There's like little moments of warmth, and I identify those as hopeful moments, and then it cuts to pedophiles and real fights, Anyway.
One character that we haven't brought up yet is the lesbian pimp.
Lulu.
Is that? Oh, I never got her name. Is that what it was? Lulu.
Almost like a vigilante. I don't know if she's a pimp.
Well,
I think she's standing up for the kids.
Well, I know that I remember the part where she talks about how she has successfully talked some young prostitutes away from sex work. But And that's what made me think at first that she was some sort of community leader or something. But
She's a
well, I mean, she wasn't a social worker, right? I mean, what I'm trying to figure out.
she's what I'm glad we're talking about her because she again is talk about the cast that they found. Like she's just larger than life, badass, lesbian, proud lesbian in the 80s. And you hear some of these older street guys almost getting into fist fights with her, and she's just squaring up. She's pushing
No,
policemen.
I just remembered. No, she herself was a sex worker because remember the guy. She was talking to a guy. I don't know if it was her pimp, but one of the guys is criticizing her for not looking feminine enough.
Right.
So I think yeah.
She's certainly, yeah, a big character in that constellation. And that's when I looked it up, she died in a street fight just after the film.
Right. That's right.
But yeah, another one of like there's like 7 people in the film that are just like extraordinary casting from the universe. Like,
Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, just blessings all around.
you wouldn't want to mess with Lulu though.
No, if I'm being totally, completely honest, I did not realize she was a woman until she explained that.
Yeah. I mean, there's other bits that that are just other excellent. I mean, it's the mastery of the editing, but like the scams that they would do, ordering delivery pizzas to like telephone boxes.
Oh, gee, I was like, why didn't I think of that?
Street smarts, like they're children, but really successful in some ways at survival.
No, I mean, I remember seeing that and be 20 years ago and being like, maybe I should be homeless. That's brilliant.
Yeah. One of the characters that I never got a handle on was the older Southern guy with a beard who was like the Rats.
Rats, sort of like friend. I mean, technically a friend, but more of a mentor. Yeah,
a mentor. But I'm like, is he dubious?
Okay,
I was waiting for that to be unveiled.
Thank you for bringing that up because there are some things there are some moments where Rat says things that suggest that he himself might be a sex worker. Like, for example, when he, it's usually the girls that are referring to, euphemistically referring to Johns as dates. And Rat is the only boy in the cast who uses that term, talking about turning tricks and going on dates. So that made me think that there was, that he, I don't know about you, but I didn't pick up on any other clues regarding that.
I think it's never firmly suggested, but little Dwayne, who dies, kills himself, and Rat. I somewhere along during watching the film, I'm like, I wonder if they're the sex workers as well.
I think, no, I don't know about Dwayne. I think Dwayne was mainly just a hustler. Right, like he was into like petty theft and panhandling. You remember that was an interesting moment, right, where he's like, was it Dwayne or Rat? Like in the very beginning, there's a guy, I think it's Dwayne is trying to panhandle, while standing next to another homeless guy, much older than him, and Dwayne goes, "Hey man, pretend like you're my dad," and the guy's like. The guy's like, no. And then Dwayne goes, all right, then get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And that's another little glimmer of hope. You see these citizens, because they're walking through a normal downtown scene, like going to work or whatever, just without a pause, just giving money to the kids. Like they're panhandling, they're begging. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, there's nothing dubious there. That's just someone being kind. They're
Yeah,
just, and you're like, oh, and that was left in. That's also, nothing is there by mistake. It's a genius construction of a film, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. But the other thing I was going to say before I forget was, yeah, no, yeah. So I think Dwayne was. It's pretty clear to me that he was just, as his father himself calls Dwayne a hustler. He's like, you're a hustler just like me, and so it's mainly panhandling and petty theft and
We think.
yeah. I mean I like to believe that there was no sex work involved, but yeah, you never know.
They're certainly vulnerable and in that bit, but yeah, we don't know. Yeah, the other things they did to make ends meet was selling blood.
Right, right.
Like anything to, and it was like, yeah, this is just an alternate reality that we're not. I've never seen that shit. And you see Tiny, and the first time you find out how old Tiny is when she's at the gynecologist.
Right.
14 years old, and you're like, and she goes, if I'm pregnant, I'm just gonna have a baby. And I'm just like,
and the social worker is like, what?
yeah.
That's I mean, I was watching her face I was watching the face of the social worker, right? Because I'm, as any viewer I think would be curious about how often, how often these social workers have to hear stories like this.
It exposes her age as well, like, doesn't it? Like it's in a perfect place in the film where you're like, this is a kid.
Exactly, because right, because she what was the moment where she had there was a term that she needed the social worker to explain to her. I can't remember what it was, but it was something a 14-year-old would not know about. Oh, it was about the menstruation. It was about this. This was her first. Yeah, she had only had one period in her entire life.
So fucking dark. Yeah, that. Yeah, it's extraordinary. I looked up the filmmaker, and then I realized I've been looking at her iconic left field photos all my life. There's a really famous photo of these kids smoking in a paddling pool, and that was her photo. If you see this image, you've seen it. Like, it's just black and white, iconic shot, and so she's the one that made Streetwise, the documentary.
Well, yeah. I guess what I understand is that the film was her husband responding to a photo series that his wife had done years prior. Yeah, so it was like the film version of her photo series.
Yeah, and there's some other images that aren't linked to the film of her getting these candid, gnarly Americana shots of. Oh, we're running out of time again, man. We are filling the time.
Yeah, no, we should let's 10 more minutes.
We're almost done, aren't we? I just trying to think if there's anything else, but
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of tempted to try to tie it in with what's going on right now with Bobby Kennedy, who was inspired by these wellness farms that have been going on for decades in Italy, and whatever, I'll be honest, there's something, because of the interest that you and I both have in the spiritual aspect of recovering from addiction. The fact remains that Bobby Kennedy stuck his foot in his mouth a couple years before he got the job as the DHS secretary, where on a podcast, almost too candidly, he basically shared his view that the right thing to do in the U.S. is to have these wellness farms almost exclusively for black youth, and proceeded to make all of these claims that were statistically wrong. One of which being that black kids in America are basically 95% of them are by default placed on ADHD medications. Now, don't get me started on my views on ADHD medications. I've got issues with them. However, his statistic that black kids in the U.S. are on them to that percentage is wildly off. It's actually about 2% of black youth under the age of 20 that are on these medications. But yeah, it's been a just yet another nail in the coffin as far as any credibility for the Department of Health Services right now.
Yeah, I mean, what the film does, apart from it being an extraordinary fly on the wall part of this insane constellation, it's the timeless nature of addiction and the sick and suffering. And I identified and was terrified in equal measure, like terrified by it. It was just yeah, I'm really glad I watched it, and I don't know if I'm going to be putting it in repeat viewing.
No, yeah. I mean, I had to wait 20 years to be in order to be able to revisit it again, but I'm very glad that I did and that we could do that together. Yeah, I mean, and sorry to trail off and end my point on and that last point on Bobby Kennedy's bad statistic. But my point, the reason I brought that up is because, yeah, the addiction is so much more relatable than my I'm still on the spiritual journey, which means that I can still get trapped in the self-centered terminal uniqueness, as they say, that makes me think that addiction is just not something that the masses can relate to. I mean, we're seeing it with its social media, with all sorts of things that people can get addicted to. And so I just think this stuff is way more relevant. As they say in the literature, some are sicker than others. And so those who have not reached a level of addiction in their respective substances to the point, or media substances, to the point where they've ended up in a 12-step program, the fact is that this spiritual journey is something that I think, I recommend to all sorts,
What I was thinking would be potentially a good double header if you're going to do a double bill. And I know we've talked about it before, but Dark Days as a second feature, which I've watched a few times, but not for a while. We could edit this out if we don't, but maybe we watch that and discuss that next time.
I'd love to do that. And there was also another film that came to my mind a couple days ago that I'm surprised I didn't bring up. I think it was another old. It'll come to me. I can't even remember if it was a documentary or not, but I thought of another film that I was like, you know what? Here's another one that I think Tom has not seen before. But I'll let you know when it comes back to me.
It's The Wrong-Eyed Jesus. Have you heard of that one?
What's it called?
The Wrong-Eyed Jesus.
No.
I tried to find it. Well, I watched it 20 years ago, but it's about the Deep South, and I just remember it being really compelling. I wonder what it would look like now I'm a sober chap, because there's a lot of crazy religion, and from what I remember, and the backwaters of the Deep South. And it's got there's a lot of real country music played in it, as well as some real pissheads, which we might enjoy. If we can even find it, maybe you I couldn't find it last time I was looking for it, but that might be an interesting one if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it. I'm curious, definitely.
It may not work now, I don't know, but I remember being like, struck by the music, the religious nutcases, and the whiskey.
In that order.
Yeah. So should we?
I guess we should. Yeah, let's. Yeah. This was fantastic. Let's do it again. Tom, thank you for for doing this, and let's do it again, possibly with Dark Days, possibly with
Wrong Eye Jesus, maybe.
Wrong Eye Jesus, yeah. And have a great rest of your day, and see you in the next one.
All right, bruv. Lots of love. Take care, mate.